The Harley-Davidson Fat Boy is one of those bikes you cannot mistake for anything else. Even if you've never thrown a leg over a motorcycle, chances are you've seen one. Maybe it was Arnold Schwarzenegger riding one in Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Maybe it was the shiny chrome beast parked outside your local diner with a rider in leather who looks like he was born to star in a 90s rock video. The Fat Boy's more than a motorcycle. It's a piece of pop culture. But the question we're here to ask is simple. Is it reliable or is it junk? Let's take a ride through its history, mechanics, ownership experience, and reputation, and we'll figure it out together. The Fat Boy first rolled out in 1990. Designed by Willie G. Davidson and Louis Netz, it was meant to be bold and unapologetically American. It had wide tires, solid disc wheels, a big stance, and enough chrome to blind anyone standing in direct sunlight. Harley even gave it the iconic silver paint with yellow trim on the early models, making it look like a rolling warplane. From the very beginning, Harley knew the Fat Boy was a statement bike. It wasn't designed to quietly blend in. It was designed to take up space, to dominate the boulevard, and to make sure everyone knew you'd arrived. In many ways, Harley nailed it. Sales were strong, and thanks to Hollywood, the Fat Boy cemented itself in motorcycle history. But looks are one thing, reliability is another. Before we get too deep, hit that subscribe button and stick with us, because in just a few minutes, we're diving into whether the iconic Harley is a long-lasting legend or a chrome-covered headache. The Fat Boy has been through a lot of engines. The first one came with the Evolution 1340cc V-twin, also known as the Evo. This engine was Harley's savior in the 1980s after the troubled AMF years when quality control slipped and Japanese competition nearly buried the company. The Evo was air-cooled, simple, and built like a brick. Riders loved it for its durability and its distinct Harley thump. If you bought a Fat Boy in the early 90s with the Evo engine and kept up with oil changes, chances are it would still run today. That says a lot. By the late 90s, Harley introduced the Twin Cam 88 and later versions like the 96, 103, and eventually the Milwaukee 8. Each engine brought more power, smoother ride quality, and better emissions control. But each also came with its quirks. The Twin Cam, for example, had cam chain tensioner issues that could lead to expensive repairs if ignored. The Milwaukee 8, which powers modern Fat Boys, is a smoother, cooler-running engine that fixed many of the problems of its predecessors. So reliability depends on a lot on the era of your Fat Boy. Evo models are almost bulletproof. Early twin cams needed careful maintenance. Modern Milwaukee 8s are considered solid and refined. Owning a Fat Boy is not just about whether it starts every morning, it's about how it feels when you ride. The Fat Boy is heavy. We're talking over 700 pounds wet weight, depending on the model year. That makes it stable on highways, but a bit of a workout in city traffic. Some riders joke that you need a gym membership if you own a Fat Boy because slow turns and parking lot maneuvers will keep your biceps busy. The wide tires and solid wheels make the Fat Boy distinctive, but they also change the handling. At low speeds, it feels like it wants to stand up straight rather than lean into corners. At higher speeds, though, it is rock solid. The stability is one reason long-distance riders appreciate it. As for comfort, the Fat Boy shines. Big seat, wide bars, and suspension tuned for cruising. You will not mistake it for a sport bike, but if you want to cruise in style, it does the job. Owners tell stories of knocking out 300-mile days and walking away without feeling like their spine has been rearranged. So, what breaks down on a Fat Boy? Electrical gremlins. Harleys, especially older ones, have a reputation for electrical quirks. Nothing dramatic like catching fire, but little annoyances such as faulty sensors, starter relays, or charging issues. Twin cam tensioners, as mentioned earlier, the early twin cam engines had cam chain tensioners that wore out too quickly. Harley eventually redesigned them, but older models can still surprise unsuspecting owners with big repair bills. Heat management. These are air-cooled V-twins. That means if you're stuck in traffic on a hot summer day, you will feel it. Some riders joke that owning a Fat Boy comes with a free leg sauna. Harley eventually added oil coolers and refined the Milwaukee 8 to run cooler, but physics is physics. Big air-cooled engines make heat. Weight-related wear. Because the Fat Boy is heavy, it can be hard on brakes, clutches, and tires. None of this is unique to Harley, but it's worth noting if you plan to ride long distances or carry passengers often. Here's where opinions start to split. Ask 10 Harley riders if the Fat Boy is reliable, and you'll get 10 answers that range from absolutely, I have 100,000 miles on mine, to never again. It spent more time in the shop than on the road. Part of the reason is maintenance. Harleys, including the Fat Boy, like to be looked after. Regular oil changes, belt inspections, and valve checks go a long way. If you treat it like a Japanese bike and neglect it until something breaks, you'll be disappointed. Keep up with care, it'll reward you. Another factor is expectations. Harley riders often accept quirks as part of the personality. A little oil weep here or rattle there, and they smile and say, that's just Harley being Harley. Riders come from Honda or Yamaha sometimes call the same thing junk. So is the Fat Boy reliable? The truth is it is reliable enough if you understand what you're buying. No other Harley has the same pop culture impact as the Fat Boy. Arnold riding it in Terminator 2 gave the bike an aura of indestructibility. Every time he launched off that bridge in the LA storm drain, the Fat Boy looked like a tank. Of course, Hollywood doesn't show you the suspension bottoming out or the parts that probably cracked on impact, but it gave the bike immortality in the eyes of the public. Even today, many people who know nothing about motorcycles can point at a Fat Boy and say, that's the Terminator bike. That kind of recognition is pricey for Harley-Davidson. Talk to Fat Boy owners and you will hear a mix of stories. One guy will tell you he rode his 2002 Fat Boy across 3 states without a hiccup. Another will complain about spending thousands fixing cam tensioners. A third will laugh and say his 91 Evo has been more reliable than his pickup truck. One funny anecdote comes from a rider who said his Fat Boy was so heavy that when it tipped over in his driveway, it took him, his neighbor, and his neighbor's teenage son to get it upright again. He joked that Harley should sell him with a gym membership included. Another owner recalled how strangers constantly came up to him at gas stations asking if his bike was the Terminator one. He eventually stopped correcting them and just nodded, because it was easier than explaining the difference between a movie prop and a production bike. Today's Fat Boy is powered by the Milwaukee 8 114 or 117 cubic inch V-twin, depending on the trim. It produces strong torque, around 118 to 125 pound-feet, and has smoother power delivery than any Harley before it. Harley's also improved cooling, braking, and handling. You can ride one straight out of the showroom and it feels solid and dependable. Of course, it still carries the Harley price tag. A new Fat Boy will set you back over $20,000. It's a lot of money for a cruiser, but Harley sells more than a motorcycle. They sell a lifestyle, an image, and in Fat Boy's case, a cultural icon. So after all this, where do we land? The Harley-Davidson Fat Boy is not junk. It's also not a Honda Goldwing that'll run forever with no attention. It sits in between. If you buy one, maintain it properly, and understand its quirks, the Fat Boy can be a reliable machine that will last decades. If you ignore it, expect problems. Fat Boy is a bike for riders who love the feel of a Harley, the history, and the presence. It's not the most practical choice, but it was never meant to be. It's a statement, and in that role, it's unmatched. So, reliable or junk? The Fat Boy is reliable enough with personality and charm that makes up for its flaws. If you want a motorcycle that blends in, buy something else. If you want one that makes people turn their heads, ask questions at gas stations, and maybe even shout, "Hasta la vista, baby," as you ride by, the Fat Boy is waiting. What do you think? Have you owned a Fat Boy? Did it treat you right, or did it break your heart? Drop your stories in the comments because those are often more entertaining than the specs. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of Harley's most iconic bikes, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and keep the throttle twisted.